Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this video. I'm going to show you exactly how I make PDPs that convert and scale like crazy for brands going from 6 figures a month to seven and 7 to 8 figures. This is the exact formula right here that I'm going to show you that's behind all of these stores and all my clients that are able to scale profitably and extremely fast, right? So I'm going to show you exactly how we're able to add 22% to the conversion rate, upwards of 20% profit per visitor. Even this test that showed the difference going up 16.95% and 27% for revenue per visitor, right? And you guys think the main problem really is that most brands think they have an ads problem, right? But in reality, they have a conversion problem, right? They're sending all this traffic to a PDP that's not optimized and not converting, right? So this is how we take brands that are doing, even sub 100K months with just a 1.47 conversion rate and transferring them into conversion rates upwards and beyond 3%, scaling profitably, right? And even for some of our bigger brands, right, doing multiple $1 million a month with a high and scalable conversion rate, right? So I'm going to show you guys exactly this blueprint, right? A to J, right? Exactly how you can actually do this, right? So we're going to take something like this, which is your current PDP on the left, converting at 1%, 2%, right? And then we're going to transform it into a fully branded PDP, converting at 3 to 5%, right? So let's jump straight into this with the first point right here, which is going to be the USP bullets, right? So USP stands for unique selling proposition, right? So I'm going to actually show you guys exactly what this looks like for your brand. And I'll give you guys some examples using IM8 as well as Grunes. So for the USP bullets, right, you want to basically use all your copywriting and all the research that you're applying to ads and then convert it into your PDP, right? And the whole purpose of the USP bullet sections is to go right below the title and basically tell people why they should buy your product, what they're getting out of it, how fast can you achieve their dream outcomes, what pain points are they avoiding, right? And how you can do this all very quickly by somebody just buying your product, right? So it will look something like this, right? This is just a rough design mock-up for you guys, right? So you could have something like a 2x2 grid. You could have 3 bullet points with icons to the left, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like for a brand like IM8. Like we have these check bullet points, and we have some USPs up here, right? So we have replaces 16 supplements, NSF certified for sport, 90-day money back guarantee. So that's another thing. You can do risk reversal. Or if you take a look at Grunes, they have the USP bullets right here as well, which is promoting the main selling points of the actual product, right? And you don't want to miss out, of course, on things like reviews and then an optimized title. But I'm just going to focus on the main things that I feel like are left out for most brands that start working with us, right? And then are able to introduce with our PDP tests and are able to actually scale, right? So the next thing that we want to look at, right, and add into our PDP is some sort of urgency call out, right? So like in this situation, right, we have this in the prior one, in the prior PDP, right? Update due to high demand during our spring sale, stock is very limited, right? This is okay, but it's a little bit salesy, a little bit drop shippy. So I don't love going this approach. However, if you guys have true scarcity and you are genuinely going to sell out, then 100% throw this right around the buy box for sure. But what we switched over to over here is an actual science backed claim, right? And this is just reaffirming kind of like the USPs that this product actually works. Now, if you take a look at IM8 here, we have a your purchase gives back, right? So this is just an extra selling point, right? This is not necessarily an urgency point, but it is something right around the add to cart rate that's going to push people to convert, right? We also have the clinician's choice right here. So showing that clinicians actually back this product. So just throwing this sort of like um, urgency call out or this social science proof call out is extremely strong. And you just want to drop it somewhere near the add to cart, right? So right here is like another version of that. Less than 1% of customers use our money back guarantee, right? So that's another just little added call out, right? And then we have some extra USP bullets down here. But as you guys can see here, this is kind of like the formula that I'm talking to you guys about. You might even use some specific social proof, like an icon for the science based, right? But really, you just want to add and enforce like one of the selling propositions of your product, right? Whether that's that you guys are low stock, or that this offer's ending soon, right? You have a some sort of like timer or a countdown, right? You can try all these things, right? But essentially, you just want something that's going to live right around this buy box section, or you can even throw it up a little bit higher if you want, to really like add in some extra stuff, right? So this is another version of what I'm talking about specifically, right? Showing the actual science. So it's just really interesting things to throw in. It's kind of like a longer form or like one specific USP that you want to throw in, but this absolutely crushes it, especially if you drop something right next to the add to cart. You can also go the route of adding in something like these, which is like a shipping time and a text right underneath the add to cart. Also, a very good practice, right? But I just wanted to cover that one as well. Um, and this urgency call out can like take the form in many things. This can even be a risk reversal call out, right? But this is essentially just a section that lives right by the add to cart that's either going to help support your main selling point or do something of a similar nature, basically. Cool. Then, arguably the most important section on your entire PDP is your offer, right? Now, this would take a full YouTube video to break down, right? But the number one thing, right, is just making the offer simple and easy for somebody to get to their desired situation, right? They don't want to have to, really think about a bunch of different options and like try to figure out, okay, I need this type of product? Do I need this complementary product? Right? You just want to give them one very simple, easy solution. Often auto select this. So in this case, right, we have this auto selected complete hair regrowth kit, right? Showing the red light hat and then a serum, right? This is auto selected, only two options, and then an add to cart, right? This is super important because one, your offer is like arguably the highest leverage thing that you can test with CRO, but also it's just um, completely changes your conversion rate and how easy it is for somebody to actually go ahead and purchase your product, right? You just want to give them an undeniable offer, a no-brainer offer, and make it super simple for when somebody's actually ready to buy and they don't need any more persuasion from the rest of your PDP. They want to be able to convert like this in as few clicks as possible. You give all the information in the actual buy box so that they can actually go forward with it, right? So we have things like most popular badges and stuff like this, right? This is what your buy box might look like. Taking a look at the IM8 example here, right? We have the 90-day supply auto selected, right? This is their number one offer. It's a killer offer, right? Obviously, if you guys are running supplements, this is something to copy from. And then if we take a look at Grunz's buy box, it's essentially a step-by-step, super easy to select, right? People go from top to bottom, right? Everything is auto-selected for the main offer that they want to push. And like I said, guys, I could go into depths and depths about how to craft a great offer, and I'll make a great video on this. But really, most important thing is that it's simple, it's a no-brainer offer, and that when people are ready to buy, they can buy in just as few clicks as possible, right? Make the process as simple as possible, right? Okay, let's go on to the fourth one, which is FAQ tabs. So these are very important, and these are going to reside right below your offer for the most case. So we have in this situation, if you're selling a consumable good, right? We have ingredients, we have third party tested, how to enjoy, tasting notes, what's in it. So stuff like this is obviously important. You want to show your descriptions and stuff, but also you guys can take this and kind of run with this. Um, right here, we're showing like why Gruen. So we can have objection handling in the FAQs. It's very common. How to take benefits, all these things, right? Where you're just enforcing the main selling points. It's usually going to be 5 to 7 FAQs. And then obviously, if you guys are shipping a product, you want to have things like how long does it take to ship? What is your return policy? And then essentially like what is the main objection that you can answer in the actual FAQ? What is the main objection that somebody's going to have about the product? Will it actually work for them, right? You can frame these as problems. Why Gruens is a good solid one. But essentially, guys, what you want to do is just put your main objections and the main things that people need to know in order to actually convert, right? Just what is the simple straight up questions that you need to answer, right? Where it's not really about having a conversion mechanism, and it's more so just giving them the basic information that they need to be able to consume your product. Now, the next one is an actual below the fold section. So, what this will look like, and I'll show you guys this before and after, right? So like this is just a mock-up document, so take it as it is, right? But just show a before and after transformation. If you guys have transformational products, this is killer to put as close to the top of the PDP as possible, right? So you want to just show what it looks like before. If you have a visual transformation, extremely important that you have this in here, right? You can even throw in a quote, you can throw in some statistics, and I'll show you guys what this looks like. So, right, guys, you can do something like this with a transformation swiping thing, a real visible difference. See the 12-week transformation from daily use. Things like this will absolutely crush for you guys. But yeah, guys, if you're specifically running a transformational product, like this is super important. If you have a before and after to show this, it doesn't necessarily have to be right underneath the above the fold section, right? But it is an essential, especially if you guys are running any like skincare products, anything that shows visibly a transformation. Extremely important that you guys throw that in there. So the next one is a pain point deep dive, and what this is essentially uncovering and going a step deeper on your ICP's number one pain point, right? So for this mock-up store that I have for you guys is a essentially like a paw cleaner, right? So what this is really showing is what your towel has been missing every time, right? So this is like a curiosity hook, right? And it's also going a step deeper, right? Because most people are thinking about like when cleaning their dog's paws when they're out, playing in the yard and stuff like this. They're thinking, oh, like it's a pain because the mud gets in the house, right? But what this section does is it goes one step deeper, thinking about, oh, actually, the dirt collects inside the paws, and then that can get trapped into moisture, turn into nasty bacterias and stuff, right? And you don't want your dog to have any illnesses or get these bacteria trapped in. And then also because your dog's going to end up licking those off and uh, consuming any of those bacteria, right? So this is a deep dive into like the one of the number one ICP pain points, right? Or going one step further, right? So you guys can go surface level with this, or you guys can go one step further as I've done here, right? And then as I'm showing here, I'm going deep into the pain point, talking about what the towel misses every time, and then showing how our product actually solves this solution, right? So this is almost like alternative for like a before and after section with like some USP callouts and how it works callouts. But this is a killer section that would absolutely crush for you guys. So essentially, this will look something like this, or like the example I showed you, right? So you can speak exactly about the main pain points and then how this actually solves those pain points, right? So essentially, what this section's about is going deep and in showing your customer that you understand them and understand their main pain points, right? And then show exactly how your product actually alleviates and solves all these pain points, right? And as humans, as you guys know, we are more risk and pain averse than we are solution oriented. So that's why showing a pain point section, especially pretty high up on the below the fold section, can absolutely crush and change your conversion rate. The next one that we want to get into is a why us comparison table. So what this will look like is run of the mill, you have your brand with all the checks, and then you have an alternative, or even you could show what doing nothing looks like, right? So every brand is going to have something like this. So IM8 will have this down here, but essentially comparing your product versus the leading alternative, right? This is super important. And if you do this properly with good design, it can really help you guys capture the very bottom funnel audience, right? The audience that's already ready to buy and they're just making the decision on whether or not they want to convert with you or with their competitor, right? So they're definitely solution aware, they might be product aware as well. So this is an essential section to throw in there uh, towards the middle of the below the fold, right? Killer design here, showing one of the main competitors, and then really showing how this outclasses them in every standard. It's really good. Now, the third from last is a social proof section. So IM8 does this exceptionally well because they have crazy social proof, right? So we have a clinician trial, right, which is a doctor social proof or an authority social proof. And we have another one. Then we have 58 million servings delivered. They all drink IM8, and this is another authority section, another social proof section, right? And even running like a UGC section right here, right? So it's essential to have a really dialed in social proof section. Obviously, you guys aren't going to have access to this level, right? But uh, getting doctors, getting people of authority to review your product is an extremely clinical way to scale, right? If a person who they want to be, like their dream identity wants to be, and you're able to get them to try your brand and put that actually on your PDP, it is one of the highest leverage things that you guys can run, right? And it's extremely good. And then you guys can also see that Groons is running the same thing or a very similar thing. 1 million members. We've been getting around just showing, you know, more social proof. We've been uh, out in the real world, and it's not just a online brand, right? Showing all this stuff, it really does help, right? So this is why this social proof section is so important. It can look something like this. It can be even like a testimonial section where you're breaking down like real customer photos with the actual quotes and then showing the names and stuff like this. It could be a swipe file, something like that. That's great. Another section that you want to incorporate somewhere towards the middle, towards the bottom, is a how it works section, right? So this is very important because like you want to understand how your product actually functions. So in this case, we have this mock-up, which is literally entitled how it works. Obviously, that might change, right? 90 seconds for pause. It's showing each of the steps: fill it with water, twist it, dry, and then rinse, right? Showing how easy it is to actually use the product. One of the main drawbacks, if you guys refer to the value proposition from Alex Hormozy, right? The main thing that you want to eliminate is effort and sacrifice in order to achieve the dream outcome, right? So how we do this is by showing exactly how simple it is to do, right? How it works in 1 to 4 steps, right? So you can say dream outcome in 60 seconds, right? Which is reducing the time delay as well. But things like this absolutely crush, right? If you guys have like a transformational product, if you have a product that requires some sort of explanation, right? This is essential, right? And just another point, right, guys? Not all these sections are going to be necessary for each of your brands, but you just want to have a good grasp of all of these sections, especially the above the fold sections right here, which are going to be universal. But these below the fold sections are just killer formats that always print regardless of the brand that we work with, right? And so some of them obviously are going to work better for others, and other ones we don't even touch, right? Like not every product has a clear transformation that you can show, right? But the principle of a before and after is, widely regarded, right? So into the into the last section that you guys can test, which is a risk reversal section. This is something like you know, try it for 30 days. If you don't absolutely love it, send it back. No questions asked, something like this to reduce risk, especially if your product's a higher AOV. This is a pretty good play to run. And then you can also show like your return rate or something like this if it's super low. But this is also just an extra idea for you guys to test out. But really, I would focus on these larger and more important sections right up above as the main drivers for your CBR change, right? But always just want to throw some extra value for different things that you guys can try, right? And then obviously you guys want to finish all your PDPs with your actual, and here we even have the risk reversal for IM8. And then obviously you guys throw in your reviews at the very bottom, especially if you guys are not these huge, well-known brands. Like you need to rely on your customer reviews and really have a good section for people to click through and see what genuine, real people like them have experienced, positive things from your product, right? And then always have a call to action towards the bottom of your PDP, especially if your PDP is a little bit longer, to take people all the way back up to the buy box, right? And you can throw this in at some other sections as well, so that wherever somebody is scrolling on your page, they can easily get and purchase your product. So guys, that is the end of the video. If you guys want help specifically building out a PDP for your brand, or help with anything with the CRO realm, if you want to build out landing pages, or if you just want to scale your brand in general, right? Go ahead and book a call with me using the first link below. We've generated over $100 million in optimized revenue with my agency Crow, right? So I'd love to speak with you guys. I'll see you guys soon.